Okay, this is chapters 81 through 85 of Lock the Doors. 81. Hello, Tom, Jane says. I brought you some company. Where's Aaron? I ask. But she just smiles and says, all in good time. Where is he? Nia asks. What is all this? This, Jane says, is what happens when your noisy brother won't stop digging. This is what happens when he doesn't get the message. I look at Amy, but she's watching her father with an expression I can't interpret. At first glance, she looks angry, but there's something else underneath. I thought they were bringing us here to rescue my brother, but Chris is now standing next to his wife like they were both in on it. So you figured it out, Jane says. Well done for that, but it ends now. You will never take my son. He's not your son, I say, and Jen grins with all her teeth. Of course he is. I know what you did. I'm not sure who I'm talking to because it's not just Jane, it's Amy and her dad as well. They're all guilty because how could they not be? They took Logan and turned him into Will, and something that horrible takes a lot of effort. Jane steps forward. I will do anything to protect my family. Your family? Nia shouts. What about our family? Where the fuck is my brother? Jane's mask slips and I see something else in the corners. She looks sad and I wonder if Nia is breaking through. You really love him, don't you? Jane asks. Of course I do. I'd do anything for him, including going clean through you. So stop pissing about and tell me where he is. I love my family too, Jane says, and I would go clean through anyone if I had to. Tom had started terrorizing my children. Terrorizing, I say, but Amy's mom cuts me off with a stare I've never seen before. It's the look of someone you don't push. It's the warning I saw too many times in Martin and Gary, the one that says, be careful. Throwing things at William's window? Breaking into our garden? I try to act calm because Jane knows. She must have seen what we moved that night, or maybe there are cameras we didn't notice. Whatever the reason, she knew what I did at the dinner party, but sat on it until now. Where is my brother? Nia asks again. He's safe, Jane says, and he'll stay that way if you promise to leave us alone. I've shown you what I can do. There are a lot more holes for a boy to fall through if you're not careful. Are you threatening me? Jane turns her stare from me to Nia and whispers, yes. 82. Stop it, Amy mumbles. She's crying and I want to go to her, but I can't move. Jane turns to her daughter, who shrinks even deeper into herself. Amy is terrified, and whatever Chris has to do with this, I know she didn't want to bring us here. She glances at her father again, and I expect to see a look of betrayal, but it's not there. Instead, there's almost a warmth to her face, one that freezes the moment her mother speaks. I'm not the one who needs to stop, Jane says. Have you been helping him, or did he really work it out all on his own? I think of all the lies Amy told, all the times she said she didn't need my help and tried to convince me that I had the wrong idea. She wasn't lying to be mean. She was hiding like Mom used to because she thought it was too late to be saved. She didn't tell me anything, I say. I don't think Jane believes me, but she stays silent, pacing the clearing, then crouching at a spot in the corner. It seems we're at an impasse, she says, not looking up from the ground. I brought you here to show you something, and I hope you start seeing things from my point of view. I can feel Nia's rage burning beside me. Her arms tighten and her eyes are focused on the woman who took our brother, but she doesn't move. This is where I come to remember, Jane says. She has her hand on the ground, and when I look closer, I see the edge of a stone poking out from between her fingers. Only when she steps back do I see the letters carved into the gray, WP. At first, I don't believe it. Then, as Jane's features soften, I realize where we are. He's here, I whisper. Will is looking after Aaron, Jane replies, but the tremble in her lips gives her away. I think they buried him here. They brought us to his grave to warn us, and if I didn't stop, Aaron's could be the next initials in the middle of nowhere. I will do whatever it takes to protect my family, Jane says. I'm not scared of what you think you know. Knowledge doesn't always give you the upper hand, Tom. Sometimes it makes you an easy target. Nia jumps forward too quickly for me to stop, but I grab her hand and pull when she's half a step from Amy's mom. Don't fucking threaten him, Nia says. Tell us where Aaron is, or I swear to God. She looks fierce, but I can feel her shaking. Jane smiles. Of course, but that's the end of it. Tom is not to see Amy again. He will not try to speak to Will. And if you call the police, I'll show them the evidence I've compiled. Before I can ask what she means, she steps forward and holds out her phone. This is security footage of the night you and your friend broke into my garden, and these are photographs of the 2 occasions you stood below my son's window and damaged my property. When Jane sees my face, she leans in too close and says, "You weren't the only one watching." 83. Nia reaches for her phone and says, "I'm calling my dad." "And telling him what?" Jane replies. "You don't know where you are, and I have your brother. This would go a lot more smoothly if we accepted my terms and we took you home ourselves." "I'm not getting in a car with you. You're a psycho. We'll walk." "That would be a mistake," Jane says. "We didn't choose this place by accident. There's nothing for quite some time." Nia's fingers curl into fists, and for a moment I think she's going to attack. Instead, her knuckles tighten and soften over and over again until eventually she says, "Whatever you want, we'll do it." Jane smiles like she did at the dinner party when I mistook her menace for delight. "Excellent," she says. She reaches down to what I think is a gravestone and whispers something, then leads us through the clearing and back to the cars. I do my best to remember what's around us, but there's nothing out of the ordinary. Everywhere's just trees and bushes and silence, the perfect hiding place for an unspeakable secret. If they really wanted to keep this place secret, they could have blindfolded us, but they didn't, and that's when I realized what Jane is. Martin never tried to lock us in because he knew he didn't have to. We stayed because we were terrified what would happen if we tried to leave, and now Amy's mom thinks we're too scared of her to fight back. I try to see the thoughts behind Nia's eyes, but she won't look at me. She's staring at the road, her lips moving just enough for me to understand, so I do the same through the other window, remembering every tiny detail of where we are and where we might have been. Jane isn't with us. She left in her own car while Chris and Amy sat silently in the front seats of this one. I reach out and hold Nia's hand, and she gives me the briefest sad smile and a squeeze. "I'm sorry," I whisper, and my sister squeezes harder. She doesn't look scared. She looks furious. 84. Jane's car is in her driveway as we pull in, and I can see Aaron's face through the back window. Nia yanks on the handle, but it won't budge. "Open the fucking door," she yells, and when Chris turns off the ignition, she bursts out and runs to her brother. She's saying something I can't hear through his closed window, and that's when I notice Logan sitting next to him. He could run. He could bring Jane's lies crashing down. But time and fear can change people, and I'm not sure he knows who he is anymore. Aaron clambers out and giggles like this is all a game. "Where have you been?" Nia says. She hugs him so hard that he says, "Ouch," then looks at her funny as she sniffs away her tears. "Are you okay?" he asks. She breathes out and says, "I am now." "We were naughty," Aaron says, "but Will's mommy found us." Jane is staring at us with that terrible fixed grin, and I hate her because she's thought of everything. "I found them wandering the streets," she says. "Luckily I was here to bring them home." Nia turns to me, and I can see the fight flicker and fade behind her eyes. I hear a shout, then turn to see Mom and Jay running towards us. Jay pulls Aaron into a hug his son tries to wiggle out of, but he holds on, his eyes pushed tightly closed as if he's terrified that, when he opens them, his boy will have disappeared again. "Where is he? Where was he?" Mom asks. Before we can answer, Aaron says, "I was with Will. He showed me the hole in the fence, but then I got lost, and I was a bit scared, but not really. Then Jane found us." Nia looks frantic, and I want to scream the truth, but this is a warning. "We should leave you to it," Jane says. "Thank you so much," says Mom. Jay stops looking at Aaron just long enough to hug Jane and shake Chris's hand, and I feel sick. Nia clears her throat, and I think she's about to explode, but I remember Jane's face in the woods and how easily she took our brother. "Not yet," I whisper, and Nia stares at me but doesn't move. Amy looks helpless, and I want to take her with us. She doesn't follow the others back into their house. She stands in silence, and I know what she wants to say because we all do. "Amy," her mom says, "come on." If you didn't know better, it would sound caring. Before she closes the door, Jane turns and waves. Whatever she's done to Logan and Amy and Chris to make sure they keep playing her horrible game, she thinks she's done it to us too. Mom crouches next to Aaron and says, "You really scared us. Don't ever run off again, okay?" Aaron nods, then looks serious because his dad is crying, and Nia and I know exactly what Jane has done. We won't tell anyone because next time we won't get him back. 85. I don't want to live here anymore. There are stick figures carved inside my wardrobe and pleas behind the paint and holes in a door we might never replace. This place is a warning. It's a scary story you tell to make kids behave, and it's our life. My curtains are closed because I can't look at Amy's house either. Everything is a reminder of a truth I can't tell. If I do, there's no guarantee the police will do their job before Jane keeps her promise. "I'm sorry," I whisper into the darkness, and then I go downstairs and check everything over and over again until I want to scream at myself to stop. but I can't because my doubt swallows my uncertainty the moment I step away from a door or a window. The voice that tells me the house will flood if I don't check every tap or that there'll be an electrical fire if I don't turn off every socket is louder than it's been for years, and it's all because of Jane. Are you okay? The voice makes me jump, and when I turn, Nia is there. I feel both embarrassed and relieved. I don't want her to see my rituals, but I'm scared I'll be doing them all night without a distraction. Not really, I say, and Nia points to the chair next to hers. The moon is low and full tonight, and its glow fills the kitchen. I'm sorry I didn't believe you about the holes, Nia says. If I'm honest, I didn't want to believe you, even when we saw the words on the wall. What are we going to do? I ask. Nia draws invisible patterns on the table with one hand and rubs her eyes with the others. We need to stop that woman. She's smart, I say. She didn't take Aaron. She got Logan to do that so it would look like a game. And our parents fucking thanked her, Nia whispers. We can't let her get away with it. She thinks she's so strong, but there must be a way of taking her down. Mom used to talk about strength. She would whisper to me as we fell asleep in the same bed, just a door between us and the devil roaming the rest of the house. We need to be strong, she would say. Can you do that for me? I was only a kid, so it wasn't easy, but I tried, and eventually Mom's bravery held just long enough for us to break free. Nia looks like Mom did the day she'd had enough. Jane will get what's coming to her. All we need is proof that Logan isn't who she says she is. We'll need his DNA for that, I say. You heard her. She won't let them anywhere near us now. I missed my chance. I wanted to save Amy and I failed. I was in Logan's room and it would have only taken a second to pick up a hair from his pillow. I messed up, I say, and now Aaron. I'm so sorry, Nia. It's not your fault. If we'd listened to you, we could have caught her sooner. But we still will. Aaron is back with his real mom now, but there are so many weekends to come. If Mom and Jay find out the truth too soon, she'll call the police, and he will charge around to the Pierces. I don't think either scenario would end well. Jane hid the death of one child and the theft of another for years. She manipulates people, she lies with the perfect smile, and the police won't be able to search her house or test Logan without evidence. If we report her now with a crumpled list of clues and a few absurd-sounding stories, we'll lose. Unless... Nia waits for me to finish, and when I don't, she nudges me and says, "Unless what?" But I can't speak because despite what I thought in the woods, Jane wouldn't be that stupid, would she?